session. Okay, folks. Yeah, people are gonna come in late. So let me give them 2 more minutes. Mhm. Okay, let's start. Um, Good morning. I think there's Shayla, I think you're new. Everybody else has been here before and knows what the salon is about, correct? We host these writing workshops every Sunday at 11 a.m. They're free writing workshops, and the point of our hosting these workshops is to just get you folks to write. So we rotate the genres, we bring in new different facilitators, we invite folks to also teach. So it's just to invigorate and get your juices flowing so that you could unblock yourself and keep on writing. Some people use these prompts and end up writing other things, which is wonderful, um, because that's the whole point, to see you write. Okay, so I am going to share today's workshop on lists, right? Lists we inherit writing through family, culture, and beliefs, right? So we all inherit things. Sometimes we inherit love, wisdom, and resilience, but we also inherit silence and cultural expectations and gender roles and family myths and entire ways of being that are so deeply embedded, we don't even notice them until we pause to name them. See, sometimes we say things like, I hope I never grow up to be like my dad, or I hope I never grow up to be like my mom. And then one day you're talking to your child when you realize you've become your parent, right? Because these are like things that are embedded in you, and subconsciously you may not notice that you're having these behaviors or these thoughts. um so that's an example of that, right? So in this workshop, it's about naming, it's about noticing the list we were given, spoken or unspoken, and asking ourselves, do I still believe this? Is this mine to hold? Do I want to pass this on? Writing helps us interrogate what we've inherited, not to shame or blame, but to better understand ourselves and our lineages. In many cultures, especially in immigrant, diasporic, and marginalized communities, tradition can be both a foundation and a boundary. Today, we'll write through these complexities. We'll use lists not just as a structure, but as a storytelling device, because sometimes a list can be a poem, it can be a prayer, a protest, or a map back to ourselves. Okay. And we're just gonna write through, folks, okay? We're gonna go through the prompts, and at the end, if you all wish to share, then we're going to share, okay? So the first prompt, which is 10 minutes. Growing up, we often absorb rules, some spoken, others unspoken, that shape how we see ourselves in the world. These rules might come from family, culture, religion, or even survival instincts. Some serve, some limit us. So the prompt is, list the rules you were taught growing up about love, about gender, about ambition, about money, about silence, family, success, or identity. Choose one or two and write about their origin and how they've affected you. Do you still follow them? Why or why not? Okay, we're gonna set the timer for 10 minutes and let's get to writing. Okay, moving on to the next prompt. All right, next prompt.
It's fun.
Next prompt. Next prompt. Um, And the last prompt, 3 more minutes. Okay, we're going to stop here. And we're back. Where's this timer? Only like 30 seconds left. All right, folks. How's everyone feeling with the writing exercise? We good? You guys,
Yes,
you guys still writing?
I just finished. I felt like these were really good for reflecting and very healing for me because I feel like sometimes, I had like a challenging upbringing. So sometimes como que uno nada más recuerda, you remember the bad, um, a lot, but then when you ask the question around like what are the things that you want to keep, that kind of made me realize that like, you know what, there were some good things that I want to keep and that I have kept.
It wasn't all trauma.
Exactly. So it made me feel, I feel like it gave me a different perspective. And that was really healing for me. I
Nice.
think it also challenged me in the sense that like when you name things explicitly, then it's a way to, it's kind of like accountability for those people, but also for yourself. And like, well, do you have some of these mindsets, even though they were harmful?
Right.
It also like was for me like a moment to kind of reflect and be challenged. So I appreciate this. Thank you.
Beautiful. So, Idanmi, do you have a prompt you want to share?
Uh, sure. Give me one
Let
second.
me know which one you are responding to.
Okay. Um, let's see. One that I um one that I wrote about that I feel like it was the first one. That's the one that I wrote about the most, which was about like I don't remember.
The rules we were given.
Yeah, exactly. And then one that I wrote about a moment. So I wrote the children are to be seen and not heard.
Mm,
Um, and basically I felt like it affected me growing up and in my life, because then I feel like then that's why I turned to writing in a way, because then in writing I could express what I couldn't express verbally, because I was shut down or there were negative consequences when I would speak up. But then, like recently, finding my voice again and not being so nervous about speaking up, especially when there's like conflict, or like if I have to hold people accountable or stand up. Like I feel like before I would try to basically write, express it out through writing versus speaking. And so I've been working on that, and I think it made me realize like where does that come from? And it comes from that idea where basically growing up, we were left out of rooms where there were certain conversations being had. My opinions, my feelings were dismissed. I remember one time I was talking about this with my sister because she didn't know this story. But one time, my grandma, we had a very contentious relationship, and she was a difficult person to get along with. But one time, like every Sunday, we used to go to my grandmother's house and gather and eat and hang out. And one time, she said something that was a lie. And I remember like saying, "You are lying. That is a lie." He said, "Oh, say it got so quiet. You could cut the tension with a knife, you know?" So then, after that, went about my way. And then I was like, later on, I was with my dad alone. And he was like, "How dare you disrespect her? How dare you say that?" And I remember like sitting quietly in the car and listening, because I was like, let me not say anything because it's not gonna come, there's gonna be like a negative, I'm gonna get in more trouble. And I remember listening, but at some point he goes like, "You should kneel and apologize to her for saying that." In my mind, I was like, I'm not doing that shit. Okay. And I didn't do it because I was like, she lied. Pero yo me quedé callada. But that's like an example of,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and so definitely something that I'm still working through. But I appreciate that I was able to kind of do that reflection, because you see the connections and really the power of that words have, and there are all these rules that some tanta that sometimes you don't even realize how many on the ways that they've impacted. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Felix, you put your hand up. You want to share something?
One moment, Angie. I walked away briefly, and my
Okay.
screen my Word document disappeared. So I'm not
Oh
sure.
my.
Come back to me after the next person, okay?
Is there anyone else who wishes to share any of the prompts?
Hello, I just wanted to say that Idalmi, you kind of nailed it in the head. A lot of things there where we often think our parents were kind of your parents were taught certain things and they just kept repeating it without even thinking of consciously going into what was there. So like I was taught the same thing. I was taught that the oldest gotta take care of the youngest, which was a nice way of saying you're gonna do whatever fuck I tell you to, and then you're gonna take care of your cousin who was rowdy, and then you're gonna take whatever anger I have inside of me. And that thing was, it dominated my life for so long, and I just wanted to write that sometimes you just have that sense of like, oh, she's the boss, she's my mom, she's my all, and it comes from that, at least in my experience, came from that. And it really, it takes time to really get out of those things. Like for me, I went to the military and it kind of just brought that back, so I was able to separate. But I know how it can be, when you're there and standing up for yourself. So
Thank
yeah.
you, Greg. Anyone else?
I'm back, Angie. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I did the first prompt, which was the two qualities, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or yes. So my it's about ambition and success, the two qualities. So, siendo ambicioso no es algo de orgullo. For that reason, I see no value in living into and from a place of wanting excess. I find myself between the margins of breaths, wanting to project onto others a way of life that centers dignity always. The upholding of, the non-removal of, and the restoring of. I would rather have less so someone else can have more. My portion is always enough because I have survived on a diet of milk and crackers, bread and honey, and air and prayers, and still managed to find it sustaining to live into being me fully further. My ambitions as a writer is always to write the stories from the perspectives of the wallflowers that the world tends to never honor and provide awareness to the beauty of them living in contemplative silence, waiting to be understood as having presence in their absence while currently feeling absent of presence. Speaking from the lived experience of being a wallflower myself, my little two-stepping off rhythm is me. My little two-stepping off rhythm is me as I am. As I am, I was, and as I was, I am always me. The rumor of success is something I can only trust believing in when it lies before me. For me, success is making sure that there is more where there has been historically less in abundance. My definition of success is being required reading in the school system, not for money at all, but to say that regardless if public school educated or the non-traditional route of lived experience and or the school of hard knocks, I believe that once communication and learning styles are found, not only does a world of opportunities open up, but a world of change is possible every moment of the day. So yeah, not a shot to anyone, but I believe that a MFA is not necessary um uh to uh to to get a point across effectively in a writing style that's unique to that person. So yeah, no shots, no one, please, no.
Thank you, Felix. Anyone else wants to share? Is there anyone else who wants to share?
Yeah, I'd like to read number 6.
Okay, go ahead, Joseta.
Hi, Angie. Hi, everybody. Number 6, inheritance in translation. Growing up, it was a tradition to be brutally honest. It was a household thing, but it was also a regional thing. In Bogota and other parts of the interior of Colombia, where I grew up, they call us groseras, rude, because they found us to be blunt. In Barranquilla, my home on the Atlantic coast, we'd consider people of the interior hypocritas, hypocrites, because according to Barranquilla standards, they did not speak the truth. I was happy to be able to be franca, truthful, say it as I saw it. Barranquilla style suited me much better. We even had a childhood game called El Banquillo, the stool, where one was placed in the middle of a group. One person sat on it and asked, "Why am I sitting here?" The others answered one by one character defects they detected on the stool occupier. The stool occupier then would try to guess who made that comment. But this habit of calling out people's character defects doesn't work in my adult life. It repels people away from me. I have learned now to take a breath and assess whether my proposed comment is truthful, helpful, or necessary. I may mention their character defects, but not only when it meets those 3 criteria. I am also learning to buffer those brutal comments with appreciation of their good works and the character traits they possess, which please me. I am certainly a work in progress.
Thank you, Joseta.
And that was brutally honest.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else? Patricia, you don't want to share? Shayla, Greg?
I can share. Mine isn't as strong today, but I'll share. It's about the Dominican phrase "Si Dios quiere," but I don't remember what prompt that was. It was about like phrases that we heard growing up.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember what number it was.
Okay.
Si Dios quiere, Mommy would say, as if she had no power over her own future, as if the universe had already decided, as if there was nothing we could do. Si Dios quiere, Tia would remind me, as if my own efforts weren't enough, as if I was a pawn in my own story, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Si yo quiero is the new mantra, because I do have a say. I can manifest my future. I can play a role in my day to day. I can decide what I work for, what I dream for, and what matters. I am the creator of my own reality. I can censor it and make it sacred, si yo quiero.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone else? No one else wants to share? Okay, folks. We're going to end it here for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad that this workshop served to remind you of the good things and not only the bad things, and also, how do you say, provide like a stronger guidance to where you do want to head, which is certainly not backwards, right? Not to the things that hurt us and affected us, but doing better. So yeah, see you next Sunday, folks. Have a good afternoon.
Could I
See
talk
you,
to
thank
you
you.
afterwards, Dominic? And
Yes, hold on, Greg, quédate ahí and let me end the